Some people only speak on Paterson when the sirens are loud, when the headlines hit, and when the struggle shows itself in public. But the truth is, cities have souls too. And when I stood by the falls, with all that water crashing around, I realized something. Peace doesn't always come from silence. Sometimes peace comes from persistence. And here Paterson is, still flowing, still creating, still surviving.
Then you say from now on.
All right, real quick. Peace, y'all. Welcome to another installment of You THNK Podcast. I am your host, Mr. Hughes. I am joined by a familiar face.
The de facto co-host. No, I'm joking.
The de facto co-host, in fact, and said product of de facto co-host. I'm not going to introduce them. I'm going to allow them the opportunities to introduce themselves because they're both amazing. And with that, sir, the floor is yours.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for that lovely introduction. Well, my name's Marty. My hometown's Rutherford, New Jersey. And because of the de facto co-host, I have a inherited connection to Paterson. Now, I didn't grow up in Paterson. I did go to school in Paterson 3 quarters out of 4th grade.
Yeah.
We'll get to that story. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
But I didn't get to become actively involved in Paterson until I reached adulthood. My father gave me a gradual but in-depth schooling on Paterson. I got to meet a lot of different people who had to play a lot of different roles in Paterson. So I got to see a whole bunch of angles. Not just what you might see on the news, not just the headlines, not just the violence or the drugs. There's much more to Paterson than what the consumer from outside of Paterson will get.
Right.
So with that, started proposing ideas, started questioning things, started having my own critiques, forming my own opinions. Hi, how are you?
He made his cameo.
Yes. So, see, there's dogs here. No, but
Pretty ones.
huh?
Nice, pretty
There's
ones.
nice
pretty
dogs in
dogs,
Paterson,
and they
not just pit bulls.
And they just come by and they don't knock over the camera or nothing. So,
Nothing.
but yeah, so I started forming my own opinions, and I started asking my father questions. I started asking the people I've gotten to meet questions. I just started. My brain was moving. And that led us to the Better Self Initiative, a program, small program for now, we'll get there, a small program led by my father and I in partnership with Paterson Healing Collective, speaking to the youth. Now, the correct way to frame that would be at-risk youth. I don't really like that.
Correct.
Nothing wrong with it, but I don't really like it.
I don't like it either.
They are not so much at risk as they didn't have the access that other people might have had. They didn't have guidance. They might have lost their guidance.
Correct.
It's not that they're at risk, it's that they just need a place to speak, plan, learn, and share. Not everybody gets that. There's people who don't get it until much later in life, but we want to bring it to them nice and early. The oldest participants are probably 21. So that's early. 25 is early. You could argue 30 is early, but we want to get to them at the right point in time, and I think we get them at a good time. I think so. So that's my thing. You guys, you people.
You people. That's amazing, by the way.
Thank
Peace,
you.
y'all. So I'm Mega, Jason, for those who don't know, you know what I'm saying? We can get more into my story a little later on, but more importantly, I fathered him, and
Praise God.
and unfortunately, I went to jail twice in his life. I went to jail, when he was born, I was actually in jail, and I came home, he was about to be 3, and I wanted to be a father, I wanted to be a man. I didn't know how to be either. And what I mean by that is, I knew I had responsibilities and I had things I needed to do. And I tried to attend to those things, but I didn't really have like the skills. I didn't have the knowledge or whatever case may be. And I came home from jail in 2007 and I said, I'm not going back. I ain't going back to jail or whatever. And I accomplished that for 8 years, but I didn't have a plan to fit in that. I didn't know what to do. There were times when I had money. I didn't know what to do with the money. There was times when I had job opportunities. I didn't know what to do with the jobs. I didn't know what to do with overtime. I didn't know how to get more pay, education, certifications. I didn't know any of these things. And I landed back in jail, this time risking potentially the rest of my life. And I was able to secure my freedom. I went to trial, and I had a separate charge I pled guilty to. I did that time, and I came home March 6, 2020. Prior to me going to jail, he was living with me. That's when he was going to school in Patterson for a little bit, and he just went back home right before I went away. And we were going somewhere.
School 13, by the way.
School
I don't know
13,
if I said
by the
that.
way. Yeah, that's the school he went to.
School 13. Yeah, I went back. I went back home.
He went there. Yeah, he was there. So, and we were going somewhere with the relationship. We were going somewhere. I still didn't know where when it came to anything in life, but we were going somewhere. I went to jail, and of course I lost all of that. And I remember, the culture that we had in our family, or even the understanding we had amongst both sides, from his mother and even my family in general, is maybe not punishment, but an aggressive. You have to address things directly, and you got to say it a certain way. And his mother and I, we would talk, and she would say she wanted me to check him basically. And I initially tried to do that from jail. You can't. You can't. You can't. What the
You
fuck?
can bark. You can bark. You can do all that shit, but you doing that shit behind the glass, and they looking at you like,
what was I really doing? You know what I'm saying?
I would like to add a little context.
Oh, okay. We're gonna. No. That's
great.
what we're doing. That's what we're doing.
A little context for those of you who might be wondering, well, what did he need to check him for? I wasn't a bad kid, but I was a very, very opinionated child. I was very opinionated.
I can see that.
So I had plenty to say, and I thought a lot, and that came early on. When I was very little, I would ask a bunch of questions like a bunch of kids did. But the question phase lingered, and then it turned into forming my opinions and then defending them to adults, which in many cases in the black community especially, that is not encouraged. It's not encouraged for a child to form an opinion and when it's checked by an adult to defend it.
Correct.
And I want to add to that. When he says the black community, we mean in all cultures underneath the diaspora, or diaspora, how you say it? Diaspora, I'm sorry.
I mean, people say it a bunch of different ways.
Tomato. So under all the cultures, like if you're talking about Caribbean black culture, it's the same thing. You're talking about Dominicans and all type of other people. You're talking about the same thing. You can't just say certain stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because we were cultivated that, that's not cool.
I agree with you 1000%. Now that I am older with younger children, allowing them to express themselves is important, because that frustration that they bottle in when they can't gets channeled somewhere. And when I see it in my children, I immediately am brought back to when I was a child and I wanted to do something. Number one, I didn't know how to articulate it. The fact that they speak to us in such fashion, it's a blessing, bro, because we know exactly what they feel and exactly how they feel.
I learned that from him because, as you were saying, and I didn't mean to cut you, he had to show me that.
Right.
And I want you to finish if you...
Well, so again, everything you guys said is correct. Yes, it's not just when we say the black community, we're not just saying black Americans. We're talking about everyone under the umbrella. It's hard for groups with histories such as the African diaspora to accept unrestricted freedom. Not out of a fear of what would happen if you had that freedom, but out of a fear of what someone else might do to their children because of that freedom. So running your mouth, or what I hate this phrase, being smart.
You kind of want your kids to be smart.
I don't like that phrase.
You want them
being
to be smart, bro.
Oh, so, well, let me pop you for
back.
being.
You don't want them to be disrespectful, though.
Exactly.
That's
So that was the issue. Sometimes I could teeter over into being a little disrespectful in defending my opinions.
I think we all have.
It's a human
Sorry,
thing.
Mom. Sorry, Dad.
It's a human thing.
It's a perfect opportunity. I apologize.
But the concept of popping your child or whooping your child for being smart, just say that out loud.
Yeah.
And tell me how that sounds.
Oh, no, I whooped that ass for being disrespectful.
For being disrespectful.
Yes.
But for being
Not for
smart.
being smart
But that's
is
what I'm
weird.
saying. When we say you got mad at them for being smart or don't be smart.
Right. I don't think it's don't be smart, though. So, like, there's crucial, like, those key words mean it's don't be smart mouth.
Why not?
Because
Don't
there's
be
this-
disrespectful.
You can say something to your authoritative figure,
Yeah.
but it's how you say it to them.
So don't be disrespectful. Remove the smart word because now you're making smart
Correct.
into a negative.
Correct. I agree. I'm not disagreeing with you.
Yeah. And this
I'm
is
just
important.
talking about our parents who might have been, who just shortened that up and was
Yeah.
like, don't be smart mouth.
Yeah.
But this is important. What he's saying is key, and not to cut you. A lot of times, the language, the way we use the language, is where we get bad relationships with things. We have horrible relationships with fixed mindset phrases.
Correct.
Kind of like being smart, having a smart mouth. Now, being smart has a negative connotation. Even our relationship with money, finances, things like that. I don't have it. And it's like, or even speaking from a certain angle about certain things can make me think that as a kid growing up, I have negative relationships with these things.
It's taboo to talk about money in our community, period. Let alone how much money mom may have or dad may have. You don't talk to your coworkers about how much money you make unless y'all making some meaningless, like, pennies. That's when everybody's like, no, I only get $17 an hour, but let you be making $47 an hour, and there's somebody at the job making 31.
Or if everybody is hired at the same rate, one of those jobs, then it's like, oh, well, we already know.
Or if everybody's not hired at the same rate,
Similar.
because that's a thing.
Because even
Yeah.
that $1,
Makes all the difference.
Yeah.
Even
It's
at
just
$1.
$1. You don't even see that because taxes probably ate that.
Yeah.
But because you're making $1 more than him, or you're making $1 more than her, or she's making $5 more than all of us.
Well, that's the big thing about money in our communities. And I want to say our communities, plural, because we kind of try to group all black people together when it's such a distinct thing when you go.
That's real.
When you drive out of state, you go to Pennsylvania, the black communities you might find in Philadelphia or Pittsburgh, they're a distinct thing. They have a distinct experience.
Right.
Versus here, and then you go to New
This is
York,
true.
distinct experience.
This is true.
Correct.
So I say communities, plural. I grew up in a house where money was definitely talked about. So that's the contrast.
Yeah.
Money was definitely talked about. My great aunt, Melissa Davis, who was the matriarch on my mother's side of the family, moved our family out of Harlem to Rutherford. She was born 1959. They moved out of Harlem 1992. So she was there in the thick of it
She's your offspring, bro.
during the darkest periods of Harlem, crack and things like that. And actually her job at ARC, Addicts Rehabilitation Center, dealt with fighting that. They dealt with fighting HIV. They dealt with fighting LGBT people who were kicked out of their homes, didn't have anywhere to go. They gave them housing. Really, that's the spirit that she carried into the house too, though, because there was an open dialogue about money to prevent one of us from ending up in that situation. I think that was her goal. Now, my mother, she was born in 1983. Her siblings were born in the 80s. There was a big fear for them. They were still in New York at the time.
Right.
They were going to the private schools, things like that, trying to shield them. It always can trickle in. So that was a fear.
So it's safe to say that your family has been rooted in community service
Yes.
for
Yeah.
as long as you can remember.
And I'm very happy to say that. Yeah.
Let me ask you both this, and you can answer separately or you can go in tandem, it doesn't matter. What would you want people to know about Better Self? Better Self Initiative, that's what it's called, correct? Okay,
Yeah.
just wanted, my bad,
It's okay.
bro.
It's new.
It's new.
It doesn't matter. You my beloveds, I'm supposed to be able to be like, oh no, they're doing I too. That's why I'm gonna make sure I get it right.
Nah, you got it right.
What
Real right.
do you want? Real right, for sure with it. What would you want people to know about Better Self Initiative, bro? What would you want I want you to speak to the young people, and I want you to speak to people our age about what you would want them to know about Better Self, if you don't mind.
Well, for the people my age, the young people, I'd want them to know that Better Self Initiative is not just we're gonna come and we're gonna fix everything overnight. That's impossible. Anyone who sells you on that is lying.
Right.
We want to come and equip you with information, with skills, with access, with guidance, so that you can drive yourself where you want to go. Don't be intimidated by credit. Don't be intimidated by you want to buy a house and you go to explore it, just out of curiosity, and if you don't have any prior information about this, things start to look a little scary.
Correct.
Very fast. Like, well, what is that? What is this? What are these numbers? What does that mean? We want to get you in a place where you know what that means. You're confident. You know what that means. You're not worried about nothing. We also, not just money we talk about, though. We talk about family building. Family building's important. A lot of people, children are a liability because, they cost
For sure.
money.
Even on the balance sheet, children are.
But are they? Because like any other asset, what you put into it is what you get out.
Correct.
So when you pick your partner and you have a child with your partner, and then you put your money and you put your energy and you put your love and you put all this stuff into this child, what you get out can be something far bigger than you imagine. So a lot of people are intimidated by the idea of having a child, and a lot of people my age, especially in Patterson, end up with a child at an age they weren't ready.
Correct.
We want to help turn that into an appreciating asset, not a depreciating asset. So, and we're going to talk about appreciating and depreciating assets too.
That's a fact.
So
Yo, bro, fucking bravo.
Oh,
At
thanks.
21, bravo, my guy.
thank you.
You, sir, I pose to you the same question. What would you want people to know, especially people like us for the people like us who are our age, who are still outside, for the people who used to be outside and now are in a corporate world who are trying to amend their life. Assalamu alaikum, brother. The people that are teetering that fence too, the streets to keep calling, because we rarely talk about that, about the people that are living the straight and narrow right now, but it's just not fast enough, or that progress is not fast enough. What would you want them to know about Better Self?
So I would love to sit here and say, yo, you could use me as an example, but that's too simple. It's almost vain. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to just make it about me. It's not about me. It's about you. And for a fact, it might feel like you're in a stuck place or it's over. All of this stuff in this world, money, relationships. I'm gonna back up. I'm gonna talk about the man-made things. All of the man-made things in this world are things you can manipulate. You can manipulate your credit. And I don't mean it in a negative way, because for every negative, there's a positive. For every time you sow a bad seed, you can sow a good seed. So there can be positive manipulation. What I'm saying is, all of these things are, can be manipulated. Credit, money. You want a house, you can figure that out. Like my young beloved said.
Not even just manipulated, but cultivated.
Cultivated, excuse me.
Correct.
Cultivated.
Correct.
You can put work in to get anything that you want that's man-made. Anything. And all the God-made things can be worked on, because God created us to do that, to cultivate. So I can have a better relationship with Rel. I can have a better relationship with my son. I can have way better relationships with the community and people around me. And I can figure things out. All right, so what? I sold drugs. So what? I see people I sold drugs to now, and we have way better relationships now that they're sober, or even that they're still getting high. I can have a different kind of conversation with you. It can be cultivated and grown we're supposed to grow in the right direction, period. That's what we were created for that.
Correct.
God didn't create you, and I don't mean to preach, but
Nah, you good, bro. Oh, shout out to Gilmore.
shout out to Gilmore. We weren't created to be perfect. You know what I mean? In no shape or form we were created to be perfect. We came out, we had whatever parts we had, and we were able to live and make it to this point. But what we were created to do was grow in the right direction. And it's your choice what direction you want to grow in. You know what I mean? But you should just grow in the right direction. And, you know, so I think if I was talking to one of the beloveds my age, I would just tell you, bro, it's not over, man. Like, if you feel like it is, you can figure something else out. You could bust another move.
It might not be easy because of your complicated past. However,
again, I'm a super felon.
I wanted.
I ain't
change.
a super felon.
I want to jump on.
I was almost there.
I want to jump on what you said about community. So, I think something that's forgotten today is the importance of community. And it's not a broad statement. It's actually a very narrow statement, community. Your community starts with you as the individual. Your thoughts, your actions, your words, your ambitions, your goals, that's a community. And it's a weird way to frame it, but no, it's a community happening within you.
Correct.
Because one thing can be in conflict with the other. You could have beautiful thoughts and say ugly words. You could have ugly thoughts and say beautiful words.
You can have beautiful thoughts and say ugly words is a bar, good sir. Yo, bro, let's just pause for a moment. I'm sorry.
That's why I'm letting them do all the talking. I'm just.
And I'm sorry. But sir, wow. Wow.
The children are our future, man.
The children will lead us. Now, before we cut out, man, because we could sit here all night. We can talk about how they used to throw the festivals here. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The little Ferris wheel and all that shit used to be up here.
Was a great time.
We could talk about how beautiful they opened up the back of the falls, bro. Like, I haven't been here in years, and it is, Patterson is showing some sign of potential, but the residents also, whatever. That's a different conversation for a different day. Before we cut out, how do the people get in touch with you guys if they want to? And how do they assist with your mission?
Well, the contact info, if you ever want to send us an email, is topyardenterprises@gmail.com. That's one.
That sounds like some Jamaican thing, bro.
It is very Jamaican.
Top
very
yard.
Jamaican influenced.
Well, there's a reason for it.
The name of
I know it is.
Oh, go ahead.
I did this on
wanna
purpose.
pull it out. All
I
right.
did this on purpose because it is important for us to, I see a lot of weird shit online about FBAs and ADOS or whatever the fuck is going on, and I don't subscribe to that.
FBA as in foundational.
I don't care what it stands for at this
Okay, I was
point.
just
I
asking.
just know that there is a weird conversation that is had between West Indians, Black Americans, Africans, and anybody that wasn't born here and has immigrated here. There's a reason why I said that, but please, sorry, continue.
Well, I was born here. All my siblings weren't. They were all born in Jamaica. My parents as well, and of course my son was born here. But although foundationally, due to my place of birth, this is where I'm from, you still got to deal with your ancestry. You know what I mean? And my ancestors are all buried behind the house that my father grew up in. And it was a hut. And before my father passed, he actually got the hut redone, and they called it Top Yard. Or Top Yard, you know what I'm saying? It depends on how you want to say it, but they called it Top Yard. And that's what, we had ideas, we had concepts where, I don't know if I'm oversharing, but we thought about I am?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Well, we thought about if we were to entertain, because we talk about these things, if we were to entertain even the concept or idea of having a central last name and changing the whole thing and just shifting the whole culture in our family.
For context, it's because I have a bit of a quarrel with, and I'm not Malcolm X, but the keeping the slave names, I kind of had a bit of a quarrel with it.
Yeah,
because
that's fair.
Because I was like, why don't we, like, okay, my mother's last name is Brown, my last name is Brown, and my father's last name is Thompson. And it's like, okay, I want my father's last name. Let me go from beige to beige, Brown to Thompson.
Or you could have hyphenated it too. This way you would have been racially ambiguous on paper.
Okay, so I could have hyphenated it, and I could have had navy blue and and beige. But what I mean by that is I think that, so my first name, my legal first name, Majir, very exotic first name if a white man saw it. And there's a lot of that in our community. I always thought, what if we, instead of coming up with the colorful first names with the colonizer last name, what if we had colorful last names, and then we can pick more standard first names?
So I think more people would be inclined to do that, but to change your last name or to change your name
Costs a lot.
costs money.
Costs a lot.
And it's a lot of money that we don't have as a collective.
We spend money as a collective on a lot.
Yeah, but to name your child something when they're born doesn't cost a dime. When you're in the
That's
hospital,
true.
you're literally just writing a name on
That's true.
For you to change, I get what you're saying also, but to change our last name,
It goes back to assets, man. You put in a
your
lot
last name to enterprises. I'm not.
No, not to.
No, yes.
Yeah.
You'll get what I'm saying later.
You put in time and energy on this asset, your last name, this identifier. This makes you unique. This makes you something that stands out, and it's inheritable. You don't have to come up with something new the next child. It's there, and then you can build off of that.
Not to cut you off, I want more of our people to understand what and the importance of a trust is. That's why I said you change your last name to enterprises or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
There is, once you acquire assets, there is a certain formula that you follow in order to grow your assets.
Yeah.
And it's on a very basic level, you do it through real estate. But like, when I've spoken to financial advisors, they say the same thing to me all the time. Money is supposed to make money. And I need us to understand that, and I need us to get in this space to where not only are we going to get in a race to acquire as much as we can, but we're going to try to protect as much as we can. I have unfortunately had family members say when they were on their way out, diagnosed with whatever, they're like, I don't care what happens after this. That should never be the case.
That should never be a thought.
That should never be the case. And this is not a sermon, and I'm not using this for that. And like I said, gentlemen, I appreciate y'all, man, because the type of conversations I have with your father on a daily basis are just this. And to know that this is your everyday mode of thinking. Every time, this is the second time you and I have like shared conversation, bro, and you haven't changed. The future is very bright if people like you are spearheading the mission.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, I thank you once again, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
Of course. Anytime y'all, anytime that y'all feel that y'all need to be a part, or y'all got something to say or whatever, please give me a call.
All right.
Let me know.
Better self.
Better
Self initiative, man. This has been another installment of You THNK Podcast. I am your host, Mr. Hughes. I've been joined by the Thompsons.
Unofficially.
Unofficially.
But officially.
But officially.
Sponsored by. Yo, shout out to the town, man.
Yeah.
I know I moved away, but my love for the city has not wavered. I'm disappointed sometimes in the behaviors of the city, but I feel like it got to get worse before it get better. And I think we're like at that point where people are getting tired, and you know what I'm saying? Because when that situation happened the other day, I've seen a lot of people speaking out that I haven't seen. So just keep on keeping on, man. I say to you the same thing that I say to you every time I part with you. Don't do nothing to nobody. You want one done to you, bro, because they will do it to you. And with that, peace, beloveds.
Peace, y'all.
Bye now.
That was good, man. That was good.
Man.
That was phenomenal.
Legs.
Yes, legs. What are legs?